everybody. Welcome to our first marriage podcast.
Hey.
I am Pastor
Welcome.
Cris.
I'm Pastor David.
And we've been married for 16 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It's been a beautiful and crazy adventure.
It has. It has. I agree.
And because we've had a beautiful and crazy adventure, we want to share it with you. And we want to share some of the things that have been passed on from his parents to us. And his parents have an amazing relationship, and we've learned so much. And it all starts with Song of Solomon 4. And if you want to go and read it, go ahead, because it's very romantic and it's very beautiful.
Nice.
But it's based, all of the information that we're going to share with you is based on this on Song of Solomon. So we're going to focus right now on Song of Solomon 3:4. I found the one my heart loves.
Read it, babe. Read it. Yes.
And it's so simple, but we all get to this point where we find that perfect person.
Yep.
You know, you spend time with them, and you're maybe in the car and you're listening to the same music, and you're talking about different things, and you can't believe that you have so much in common. I remember when that happened to me, because that's my story. I never thought that I was gonna fall in love with this guy.
With this guy over here.
Guy.
This guy.
We met when we were 12 years old, and
Oh, wow. You took it way back. Okay,
so
good. Talk about it. Go.
When we met again, you know,
Yes.
we had this encounter when we were 20. He invited me out, and I just thought that I was like kind of hanging out with a middle school friend. And that day I came back home, I'm like, Mom, I found the guy I'm going to marry.
And that was that.
And that was
pretty much it.
Yeah, I put my stamp on it, and I'm like, you're mine. It took him a little bit longer
Yeah, it took me a while, but that's all right.
to see that in me, even though I was like amazing since the beginning.
But we got there.
Anyways.
I got there.
Yeah.
That was good.
Just took you a year.
That's good.
It took me 5 hours, but okay. It's, you know, I was a little bit more mature and everything.
Fast.
So
More mature. All right. I like this podcast.
yeah,
I like this one.
It's so fun. Well, the thing is that you get to that point where you meet that special someone, and you think that everything is going to stay so perfect. You know, you're like,
like it's going to be effortless. Like it's just going to be like that the rest of your life.
It's just so perfect. You know, it's the right person. Why would things go wrong?
Exactly.
Right?
Why would things go wrong?
But then eventually you start seeing that, a lot of things can go wrong, and attitudes come out, you know, and resentment, things that maybe not even have anything to do with your relationship, but it's
life happens.
It's life.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to get over those hurdles every single day in a relationship. Love is a decision. You know, it's not an emotion. It shouldn't be just an emotion, because if you let yourself be guided by emotions, oh my God, our lives would be chaos. We need to control those emotions, because even though we're feeling something sometimes, you know, you need to get the hang of it. We always teach our kids, you know, it's you control your emotions. Your emotions do not control you. And
that's right.
We started teaching them when they were little this, but it took us a while, and I learned it very in my late 20s.
A little bit late in the game, but that's all right.
But I got the hang of it. You know, it's just learning to control what you're feeling, and that's part of what makes a relationship work. You know, because it's not because I'm feeling angry right now, my whole relationship is going to revolve around that anger. You know, so I need to control myself, and then do what I need to do and make things better. But in our lives, we have to learn how to control and how to respond to the things that happen to us. You know, it's we need to respond. We don't because we usually react.
That's right.
And that's also an issue. So
don't react.
Respond to things. Think about the things first, and then give yourself time. Like, I'm a very slow processor, right? Like
sometimes
when we talked about things, now he knows. After 16 years, he's like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. If you need some time, this is okay. So he spills the beans and everything, and then he's like, go and process. And I don't even get offended anymore, because I need that time to think about it. And then I come back, I'm like, you know what? Now I thought about it, and this is what I want to do.
This is my response.
This is what. So it's just worked with us so well.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we need to realize is that God set us up to be successful in everything that we do.
Absolutely.
So we just need to be connected to God, right? Yeah. And we need to keep looking at him and just put all of our thoughts and emotions, give them to God so he can help us with this amazing relationship that we have. You know, God himself is God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's a relationship there. So the first thing that the enemy tries to do is he tries to break away relationships.
That's right.
Because he knows how important relationships are for God, and how his relationship is, how important our relationship with God is. So the first thing that the enemy tries to do is he tries to get in your most important relationship that you have with your spouse, and tries to break you up, because two are powerful.
Two are better than one.
Two are better than one, and we complement each other.
That's right.
Right? We don't compete with each other. And this is something that we've learned throughout the years, and it's something that we want to be sharing with you.
You know, relationships, as you were talking right now, relationship is absolutely a God model, is what God wanted for humanity, for us to be in relationships. And it is something that we have to work at.
Yeah.
I think most people have this idea, maybe this romantic idea, that once you find the one, because you feel it, you're like, this is the one, you know, she's the one, he's the one. But once you have it, you think that because that's the one, just the relationship is going to happen by itself. As long as everything is good, then we're good. But what happens when it's not good? What happens when you're coming into a different season? What is our reaction? Can we go past this? Can we fix these situations? We already know that marriage as a institution is not very successful. I mean, if we have to say it that way, we have a ton of divorces, a ton of people being separated, to the point that we have a generation that feels that getting married isn't even necessary anymore. And now it's really hard to address marriage because most people, or a lot of people, I might say, have been hurt by divorce, have been hurt by splits. And so they don't want to go through that pain again, and they don't want to have other people go through that pain. So the answer that society has come up with to address that pain is less commitment, which is not what the Bible says. And with less commitment, now we are discovering a new pain, a new void in people's hearts, because we thought at the beginning that less commitment was going to be a good thing. You know what? Less pain, right. It was going to be like, look, we can be together, we can just do life together, but if you feel like you like that person better, go ahead and we can still do our thing. And
because you're going in without any expectations.
Exactly.
You don't
right.
want to have expectations, because you don't want to get hurt.
You don't want to be let down. And now at the beginning, it felt like, hey, this is a pretty good thing. But we see now in society a ton of depression, a ton of anxiety. With social media, people are becoming more and more isolated. And so we are discovering a new level of pain in people, a new level of just emptiness in their lives. And that's why I think that right now is the best time to start talking about marriage again.
Yes.
About the biblically based marriage, where God designed it and God has a plan for it. It doesn't mean that every single day is going to be beautiful and is going to be amazing and it's going to be just, you know, easy, but it's going to be right. It's going to be perfect, and you'll get through it, and life is going to feel complete, and the relationship is going to fill all that emptiness and is going to get you through the pain into a place of happiness and peace.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like when you approach marriage with God, it's definitely going to be different.
Yeah.
And it's going to be stronger because you know that 3 chords, right? They cannot be easily broken because you have God involved. And we always, whenever we've had situations, thank God that we've always looked for him first. You know, it was even though we both have our issues, we both go to God first. And that's why we're able to resolve and do whatever we need to do. And then that makes our marriage stronger. And one of the things that we have to realize is that marriage takes commitment. Marriage takes responsibility. Marriage takes, you know, we're not perfect people. So we have to go into marriage not expecting perfection, because that's never, ever going to happen.
That's right.
And we just have to learn to go with the flow, you know, and at a certain point, you just have, how can I make this work? And it comes to a point where sometimes I'm the one that steps down and, you know what, it's going to be okay. And sometimes he does it, you know, we try to make it work. We have to realize that God set us up to be successful, right? That's good. So when Jesus said that he came to give us a life in abundance, it means life in abundance in your marriage too. Life in abundance with your kids, with your job, and whatever you do, you need the life of abundance, and it needs to overflow. But in order to overflow, you have to be filled by him first, right? You have to allow yourself for God to pour into your life so that you now, out of that overflow, you can give to your husband, to your wife, to your kids, you know, and to everybody that surrounds you. So God is always going to add more to your life.
And that's why we're calling this podcast plus. And that's why we're calling this study almost, you know, plus as well. Because relationships are built on adding and not taking away or substituting. And this is the concept. So as an intro, let me dive into it.
Yes, go ahead.
We are going to talk about 4 areas in a relationship that should add and complement each other and not substitute each other. So the first one is being family.
Yes.
The second one is being friends. The third one is dating. And the fourth one is marriage. And so just as a little cliff note, babe, what does the family talk about? Like, where does that concept of being family in a relationship come from?
Well, this concept of being family is that we have God our Father. So we are sons and daughters of God, right? So when we come into a relationship, we need to learn to treat each other as a son and as a daughter of God. We need to honor each other.
So a spiritual family.
It's a spiritual family. And that's like the foundation to build on a relationship. Being brother and sister in Christ.
The second would be the friendship part of it. So to the family, to being a family in the spirit, what is the component of friendship that we're like focused on adding? What would that look like?
That would be being best friends. You know, and this is one of my favorites because society has totally disregarded this. You know, they don't take it into consideration anymore. You have another best friend, and then you have your
husband,
or your wife, or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you know, and you have another best friend.
No, it should be the same person.
It should be the same person. If you get along so well with that person,
that's your best friend.
That's your best friend, and you should see more into that, you know, what can happen, because eventually, you know, looks are going to fade away, you know, stuff is going to change, but the fun.
Not us, babe. We're glowing. We're glowing up.
I am, you
glowing
know,
up.
every month, a facial. You know, we need to take care of each other, and that's really important. But also, eventually, it's that relationship, that connection that you have, that person that you laugh all the time. You know, you have your inside jokes. You have your stories. You know, kids are gonna be out of the house, and the two of you are gonna be the only one left. So you need to be with your best friend.
That's awesome.
With that person that you have so much fun with.
So spiritual family. And then you're adding the friendship, being best friends. And then to those two, we add the dating.
The dating aspect.
So talk to me about dating. Like, what does that look like? What are we talking about?
So now that you have that best friend and you start seeing him or her in a different light, right? Because now that you see that you're connected.
Ooh, there's attraction now.
There's attraction.
Come on.
You have to look for that attraction. I remember looking at him, and we were walking around. I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally fall in love with this guy.
Well, you did that this morning, babe. You were checking me out.
Morning.
I felt really bad for the other people. I'm like, come on. Man, control yourself, woman.
I know.
That's
it's just when you're in love, right?
All right, so we have that spiritual family. We have the friendship. We have the dating, and then we add the marriage.
Dating, and then you add the marriage. You know, in dating, it's that romance. That's what you add into it, right? Because friendship is one thing, but then you add romance, it starts getting different right now. And then you have to plan for a future. We've always been teaching our kids about their marriage, that dating is not just about dating and dating as many people as you like. You know, when you are going to start dating, you have to think about that person because you want to marry him or her.
Yeah.
You know, it has a purpose.
That's the end goal. That's the purpose.
That's the end goal, to marry that person. So right now I have 2 teenagers, so trust me, every single day.
Those boys want a girl
from their mama. I'm like, you have to choose well, you know, and the time is gonna come where they're gonna start dating, and then even though many of their friends are dating right now.
Yeah, I know. Everybody in high school already has like a couple of girlfriends.
I like the fact that they understand that they're not ready for it yet.
That's right.
That they're right now.
They're called to something different.
Yes. Yeah. They're called to have friends right now.
Yes.
And eventually the time will come
where that friend
is going to become more than a friend. Yeah. And that is going to lead to marriage. Yeah. And now that you have that marriage and you have that sanctity, you have become one, you know, it has the potential to be something so amazing, because that's why the enemy wants to get between us, because you become a power couple. When you find each other, when you complement each other, you become a power couple. Yeah. And there's no stopping you. Yeah. When you hit it, you know, when you push that button, it's just like, oh, that happy place. You become a power couple, and you become unstoppable because you realize what God poured into the both of you, and then you complement each other, and boom, you know, it happens. So
fireworks.
And that's the whole reason that we want you to realize the potential that you have in your relationship, what God has called you to do, and just make it better, you know, and just believe that you've been called for a life in abundance. And if you don't have that relationship with your spouse right now, you have been called for a life in abundance. Yes. You know, you have to believe, and you have to call it out like it is. You know, you have to prophesy into your life. Yeah. You have to prophesy into your husband's wife, into your husband's life, your wife's life, and you are saying she is a woman of God, he is a man of God, and you have to start believing for them first.
That's right.
And and that's why this is so important for you to understand that God is always going to add, and you have to be willing and to wait for the perfect time for God to add that too.
And as you can see, my wife gets fired up.
Oh my God, yeah,
fired
don't
up
get me started.
Every single time we talk about this. So expect an amazing podcast every time. This was our first episode, which is amazing, our intro episode. Next episode, we're going to be talking about the the family aspect of it. It's going to be amazing. But we're so glad that you're listening in or watching. We're so happy that you can share this with your friends, your family. And we just love talking about relationships. We're going to be super open. We're going to be super raw. Next episode is expect some details, some deets. But it's going to be good, right? Like always.
Like always.
So we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you next episode.
Bye.